Bilderberg, they'll all run with that and say that I was serious and then make a joke out of it. At any time, our reporters could go into the police station or find the federal police and say, we hear going to our hotel looking for us. Here we are. What's the crime of being reporters from the Alps in Austria, Bilderberg 2015? Let me plow into other news right now. This story's up on RT.com. It's also mirrored at Infowars.com. Droning on forever. Boeing patents UAV that could fly indefinitely, recharging in midair. Electricity-powered drone would have a rechargeable tether cable that would connect to a power source. So the drone would fly up, lower its light cable down, and then fly in circles, basically, while it's powering back up. As drone technologies continue to advance, Boeing has raised the bar even higher. The aerospace giant has received a patent for a UAV that could fly forever, recharging in midair via a tether attached to the ground. I saw Alexander Haig back in like 1992 when he had a TV show nationwide on cable, where he had a company that was going to have blimps over every major city, but at about 100,000 feet, that had solar panels on the top that would then run telecommunications, cell towers, but also spy on people. His word was security. And now, of course, they're launching those. I mean, they launched them a long time ago, but only in certain cities like D.C., New York. Salt Lake City, for some reason, had one. Dallas had one. And I can play you the ABC newscast and a CBS one. You can go to YouTube and type in mystery UFO over Salt Lake. And it's a giant blimp, bigger than the Hindenburg. Looks like the Hindenburg. And it's got propellers on it. And it's a government blimp. We even know the model. And instead, they told the public it was an alien. They said, is it aliens? I mean, that's how they treat the public. So stupid. It's a blimp. 100-plus-year-old technology. In fact, the French had hot air balloons for like 400 years ago. And the Italians, they debate who invented it, the French or the Italians. Probably the Italians. They've had hot air balloons for 400-plus years. They've had, well, thousands if you count the Chinese launching lanterns, but the hot air balloons that carry people for 400 years. And we've had dirigibles for over 115 years or so, or longer, actually. And the public thinks it's a flying saucer because they couldn't be educated on surveillance blimps. Instead, they think it's an alien. I mean, that's what's so frustrating about this. And they've got conservative talk show hosts that will get up on television and the radio and attack this show and say there's no FEMA camps, there's no COG, there's no NSA. Now, they've changed their tune since then, but back when they were doing that 4 or 5 years ago, saying I was a liar, I knew people that worked in their offices. And they said, no, they know it's real. We're giving them all the documents. They just have been told to do this. Imagine knowing they've got FEMA camps, knowing they're preparing for all this, and then you get up there and you lie because you're scared of the government. You ought to be scared of not saying something and not doing something. By the way, they found the ABC News piece out of Salt Lake. It's a giant silver blimp with rudders and tail fins. That's a naval blimp. I know that model. You can look it up. Up there surveilling people. And everybody thinks it's a UFO. In fact, can we rewind that and play the audio? Thanks. This is my frustration. Here, go ahead and roll it. Thanks.
What's hovering over Salt Lake City? Is it a rocket, a blimp, a UFO? A strange object seen in the skies has residents scratching their heads. The craft floated overhead for several minutes before disappearing. Salt Lake air traffic controllers said their radar didn't pick up anything, and they have no knowledge of the craft.
That's because they were told the lie. That's a shorter version of the report. There's a whole bunch of them. They go into saying, no, it must be aliens. It must be flying saucers, because they don't want to tell you the feds have a giant blimp up there with ground-penetrating radar, snoop systems. I mean, I told people 20 years ago about the FBI Cessnas. And the Department of Energy and the EPA, they've all got them. But I knew, because in East Texas, I knew folks that worked on them. And they said, oh, yeah, they're out looking for marijuana fields. They fly over the power plants to check to see if they're fudging their sensors that no toxic waste is coming out of the towers. But we're told to tell people that they're not government. Well, see, all that was released last week. So you can hear it here 20 years ago, or you can hear it, now from the establishment. Report, Pfizer hid link between antidepressants and birth defects. Pharmacological mammoth Pfizer faces more than 1,000 lawsuits. We're going to hit that in a moment. I want to get into the latest on Bilderberg and a whole other grouping of news about election 2016 here in this republic. But before we do that, I wanted to just mention that Joe Biggs earlier was showing me magazine articles and newspaper articles out of Austria, and then U.S. stories about them concerning Cobra Commandos. No, it's not a G.I. Joe show. It's a real security group that is running security and I guess in charge of the 2,000 federal and state police paid for by taxpayers to guard the Bilderberg Group meeting that the New York Times says does not exist. You can pull up an article out of the New York Times. It's a film review of the film New World Order that came out in 2009, a year after Bilderberg, 2008, in Chantilly, Virginia. And they actually say that I'm in a hotel parking lot having a full-on hallucination of black sedan, Secret Service, and world leaders. That they just said that you see Jones imagining things. That's right. None of this is real. The show isn't real. Obamacare's not real. Nobody's coming after your guns. Nobody got rid of the borders. Nobody's jacking up your taxes. Government loves you. Government's perfect. Everything's fine. So I asked Joe to get these articles together, maybe scan them, or give the files to the crew so that we can show TV viewers just how amazing this is, that Bilderberg has this paramilitary group running around protecting it from the evil press. All, again, taxpayer paid for. Briefly, before I get into Pfizer and how they hid the link between antidepressants and birth defects, and before I get back into the fact that everyone's freaking out, the media's freaking out about 2 escaped killers from New York State Prison, the 30-plus thousand illegals that have been released that have felony criminal backgrounds. We have some congressional testimony dealing with that and more. But briefly, we sold out of Survival Shield Nation Iodine X2, the deep earth crystal source that's so pure and that folks have had such rave reviews about, because everybody knows there's a massive iodine deficiency out there in the soil and in the food. That's why seafood is so important, because it has a lot of iodine, has a lot of toxins as well. So the best place to get it is deep earth pure source. Well, no one else we know of has ever done that. We have. The problem is we secured some 2 years ago, and basically it's run out, and now we're having to secure more, and that may take some time. So we're sold out right now. We have a small amount of the iodine left. The crystals, that has been basically manufactured, but now it's got to be put in the bottles and then shipped from the laboratory here in the U.S. to our shipping facility. But we're going to be out for a while of Survival Shield Nation Iodine X2. We do have the original Survival Shield that's from a kelp source, the cleanest out there after X2, super high quality, but not as strong. That's what I tend to give my children. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And secondarily, it's a win-win, because Your purchase supports the broadcast and what we're doing here. When you buy these products, it funds the whole operation, so I can send 3 reporters to Austria to cover Bilderberg 2015 that no one else is doing yet. The big national newspapers in Europe will just report it's happening. And they've got a few pool photographers out there covering it. So we're filling that vacuum. We're filling that area that's not being basically dealt with by the prostitute, lapdog, drive-by media, to steal a term from Rush Limbaugh. So InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. You go there, you can find high-quality water filters that cut out the glyphosates and fluoride and other deadly chemicals that are such a big problem and such an endocrine disruptor. It cuts out the serotonin reuptake inhibitors, the SSRIs, the antipsychotics, all the stuff that's in major water supplies on record. Thousands of different things that are in the water. The water is impure. Our precious bodily fluids, to quote General Jack T. Ripper from Dr. Strangelove, have been compromised. How's that for your hardcore communist conspiracy? And I'm not joking. When you filter your water, it's a life changer. You do that with the oxy powder tablets that flush out the upper and lower intestine at InfoWarsLife.com. The original survival shield, the super male vitality, the super female vitality, the whole thing fused together has been life-changing for myself and so many others. And then you're also funding the tip of the spear, the true trailblazers when it comes to just hardcore, laying the facts out, InfoWarsLife.com. And there's so many other great products, from Child Ease to Secret 12 to Winter Sun to DNA Force to high-quality colloidal silver, Silver Bullet, to Ancient Defense, high-quality organic coffee, my favorite type. We've private labeled out of southern Mexico, out of volcanic soil. Everything else is right here in the USA, but that's high-quality stuff out of Mexico. I like to support the farmers down there. 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. And really, one of the most important things to get if you haven't done it is oxy powder. The way it flushes out the upper and lower intestine. Rob Dew lost 11 pounds in 1 week, and he wasn't even a fat guy. It was just stuff in his intestines. Everybody I know that has taken this has been blown away, and I mean that as a pun. This is not like hardcore herbs or toxic things or things that are painful, things that are harsh. It's just time-released, high-level oxygen that time releases in the upper and lower intestines and just flushes everything out that's been in there for years in some cases. Simply amazing what it does for your skin, for your health, for your digestion. The gut is under constant attack, and oxy powder, developed by Dr. Group, is used in Hollywood, you name it. It is fantastic. 888-253-3139. Or InfoWarsLife.com. Report, Pfizer hid link between antidepressants and birth defects. Pharmaceutical mammoth Pfizer faces more than 1,000 lawsuits from victims who say the company knew about the relationship between birth defects and their #1 best-selling antidepressant, a claim that Pfizer has, of course, battled against. Now, however, new reports have surfaced that Pfizer's own scientific advisors were warned of the deadly link for more than a year, something that my team told you in 2012 was already going on. This is Anthony Gucciardi reporting, according to Bloomberg. At Pfizer, Inc., report shows a scientist warned executives last year about a potential link between the antidepressant drug Zoloft and birth defects. I know someone who the doctor says got vertigo or whatever Michael Jackson had from Zoloft and recommended changes to the medication safety warning. Again, I kind of inserted that statement in the middle of that line. Let me just read that again. A Pfizer, Inc. report shows a scientist warned executives last year about a potential link between the antidepressant drug Zoloft and birth defects and recommended changes to the medication safety warning. The document from a Pfizer drug safety official might complicate the company's efforts to fend off lawsuits brought by parents of children with malformed hearts. Pfizer has consistently rejected suggestions that Zoloft caused newborn abnormalities, and Monday the document was taken out of context by lawyers suing the company. Here's what we know about serotonin